strong and as durable as it can possibly be to enhance the American dream, to restore constitutionally limited government, and to educate and inform our fellow citizens about the myriad ways in which our system of government has been misused and abused by a small handful of elites who don't have our interests in mind and certainly aren't wedded to the ideals of the American founding and the U.S. Constitution. So what exactly do we need to focus on in his life? Well, there are a few things that come to mind right away. Charlie believed in the power of ideas. He knew that free speech in a society as diverse as ours is necessarily messy. But he knew that free people, when given the chance, can counter censorship effectively with the truth. They can outthink propaganda. They can overcome disinformation. Charlie understood that the cure for bad speech is not a ban. Rather, it's better speech. In the marketplace of ideas, truth does not fear competition. He taught us this and so many other things by example. And Charlie's example calls on us to confront error with reason, to meet hostility with courage, and to have the conversation even when it's uncomfortable. In fact, especially when it's uncomfortable. So where do we go from here? Well, we follow Charlie's lead. We live as Charlie lived, devoted to family because Charlie understood no republic can stand if the home is weak. Anchored in faith because without God, politics is like a ship without a compass. Committed to country because liberty is not inherited by chance. It must be defended by choice. The pathway forward is not retreat. It is not bitterness. It's not silence. It is engagement. It's courage. It's the steady, unrelenting insistence that truth matters and it exists. The enemies of freedom believe that by silencing a voice, particularly a voice as strong as Charlie's, they can somehow silence an idea. But ideas, especially good ones, are stubborn. They outlive us. They outlast regimes. They are carried, as Charlie uniquely understood, by ordinary men and women who simply refuse to be subdued. So let's do the same. Let us refuse. Refuse resignation. Refuse despair. Refuse the lie that truth must be whispered. Charlie Kirk is tragically gone, but his example lives on. And country, lives of conviction, strong enough to challenge the world. Lives of charity, deep enough to change it. May Almighty God bless Charlie's family and his memory. May God bless Charlie's children, and may God bless this country he loved.
Please welcome Governor Spencer Cox, Representative Andy Biggs, and the Honorable Jason Chaffetz.
How we all doing? Welcome, everyone. How we doing, everyone? I was saying to everyone backstage, it's great to be in Utah. You know you're in Utah because everyone's hopped up on Mountain Dew. And Alex was calling people to repentance, like Samuel the Lamanite. So we like to see that. So it's good stuff. I love it. This is really, we wanted to host today. Hey, guys, appreciate it. We wanted to join everybody today just to kind of go back to the horrific events that happened on the 10th of this month. There are tons of people on the stage that we have today that have different perspectives all around the horrible murder of my friend Charlie Kirk. And so we wanted to first thank, particularly the men and women in law enforcement here in the state of Utah that have been so incredible. And those of you that are here right now, thank you for being here. God bless our police. In addition to that, wanted to thank all the medical personnel that helped that day, especially at Timpanogos. It was a horrific day for so many, and just the best of the best in the state of Utah were there to try to save Charlie's life, and everyone should know that and know how incredible that work was done. So God bless those medical personnel that did everything they possibly could do. Lastly, I wanted to recognize who was at UVU on the day of. If you wouldn't mind standing up, because we just God bless each and every one of you, especially those students. God bless you. Thank you for coming back. God bless you. So I wanted to start today just by going back and kind of taking us through. Obviously, we have 3 different perspectives from the tragedy that happened. I want to start with kind of what happened, and Jason was there that day with his kids. And so, how are you holding up? How are you doing?
It's tough. It's really tough. First of all, the United States of America is the greatest country on the face of the planet. Only in a country like the United States can you have a tour with a person like Charlie Kirk going out and speaking his mind and talking to people. And the tragedy is still very raw. I think it is for all of us. You know, this is still, I traded text messages with Charlie. I was excited because he was coming to Utah twice. That morning, I was going to go out with Ice. I did go out with Ice. I invited him to come with us. I said, Charlie, come with us. It's always fun. And he's like, I don't know if I can do both. And
Charlie would never turn down a trip to Ice if he could make it. He could squeeze it in.
He would have, yeah. And but I also had a daughter who had recently graduated from there. She's newly married. Her and her husband were there. I was there. My wife was parking the car and coming in. And then that shot was fired. And I was watching Charlie. I saw it. I saw him fall back into his left. And it was scary because you didn't know if there was going to be more shots fired. You see some of these shootings, and you didn't know if that was the end. So my family, there were 4 of us there, but there were 3,000 people there that lived through that terror and that trauma. And that should never happen here. We have a lot of us, not all of us, but we have a lot of us that are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Good to see some Mormons here. Thank you. All of us are members of the church.
We've updated our name.
All of us are members of the church. Yeah. I call us Mormons. They're my people.
We understand what you're saying.
I get it.
We get it.
We're all members of the church.
Well, we had an unimaginable scene just on Sunday in Michigan. I guess what I learned from this, though, is the heroism and the resiliency. And we're going to talk more about this. But this, to me, this guy right here, he was standing 10 feet from Charlie when it happened. You have Michaela and others who've lived and worked with Charlie.
Numbers of killings and mass displacement. Rohingya have reported that their movement is increasingly restricted. Their communications monitored, mobile phones seized, and there are internet shutdowns. Meanwhile, on its path to acquire
Governor, I want to start by just complimenting the amount of work that went in from the state. Your guys' team was incredibly on top of it. I think the Health and Human Services Secretary had contacted me directly and was in the midst of all of that. What was kind of going through your head at the moment that this happened, and how, I guess I can kick this off, because I think what we're going to do is we're going to go through some questions.
Yeah.
And we're going to open up discussion, if that's okay with everybody, and then we're going to take some questions from students at the end of this.
Yeah.
But how has that changed you politically? Where are you at since that? Bring us back to like the moment that where you are, and where are you at? Where's your head at today?
Yeah. So I had several speaking events that day, and we.
I'm gonna do the Charlie Kirk thing and say, guys, let's facilitate a conversation here. I promise that we'll get to the end of it and then we'll ask questions. Is that cool? All right, I love it. Thank you. By the way, this is the most turning point thing ever to have Fox News, Governor Cox, and Andy Biggs, the former Freedom Caucus chair, all together on a stage.
Sure.
That's the most turning point-esque thing ever. So let's appreciate that.
So
where are you at?
Tyler, welcome to my alma mater. It's incredible to be back at Utah State University, and we're so proud that Turning Point picked Utah State University. And look at the turnout, the largest crowd ever. It's unbelievable. These are my Aggies, and Aggies are special. Look, so that day I had several speaking engagements, and I was back at the Capitol when my assistant came in, and she pulled me out and she said, we need you immediately. That's never a good sign when you're the governor. And I walked out, and there was a captain in our highway patrol, and he said, there's been a shooting at Utah Valley University, and Charlie Kirk has been shot. And even as the words are coming in, I'm having a hard time processing them. I said, that can't be. And I said, are you sure? Because sometimes when these things happen, there's a fog of war and you get bad information, right? And so somebody handed me their phone, and the video was already there. And I wished I hadn't seen that video. I can't unsee it. I know that's true for so many of you, and especially those of you who were there. And immediately, 30 seconds later, there was a call from the White House, and it was from the Situation Room. It was Marco Rubio. He was there. The Secretary of State was there.
Life doesn't stop when you're getting an education. That's why Sophia offers self-paced, online, college-level courses that are designed to transfer. Access 70-plus courses for only $99 a month and start learning today.
What's the latest? And we were in constant communication. I spoke to the president, to President Trump less than an hour later, and we kept getting the information back, and it was looking worse and worse and worse. My first thought was just, please don't die. Like, please, just we gotta keep him alive. And then I knew about Charlie's wife. I knew he had 2 little kids, and that's the humanity of all of this, right? And I think it changed all of us, because what I realized very quickly is this was an attack on Charlie Kirk because of his political beliefs. And we knew that. And it was a political assassination, and people were afraid to say that. We should not be afraid to call things what they are. That's what it was. The second thing that mattered was we have to find the person responsible, and we have to hold them accountable, and we will do that, because I know our law enforcement here in Utah, and they are the best in the world. There was no way that this person was going to get away with it, and they came through. The third part, though, was this was more than just an attack on Charlie Kirk. This was an attack on free speech. It was an attack on America. It was an attack on American ideals. It was treasonous. It was, we have not had a high-profile assassination like this in my lifetime. I'm 50 years old, so it's been 55 years since we've had anything like this. And the weight of that sitting on all of us. And the fourth thing I knew is that Utahns weren't going to riot. They weren't going to start cars on fire. They weren't going to respond with violence.
Isn't that interesting?
Because that's who we are.
Isn't that interesting? I'm going to get into that question in a second, but I mean, when's the last time you saw a left-wing speaker have to cancel their event on campus? When was the last time you saw, riots that came out of a left-wing just meltdown? We saw the Summer of Love, right? That happened in 2020 with everything. Our side did what? Turned to prayer. Everyone here, I think, that we saw across the state of Utah turned to prayer, and we saw that immediately.
Right.
And that's a huge credit to every single person that's a citizen here. Andy, I want to jump in on this. You had a close relationship with Charlie. What do you think the hardest battle is that you foresee in this new political environment?
The country appears to be so chasmically divided. That's really part of our problem. I mean, we tried to have a prayer on an oral prayer on the floor of the House, and the Democrats shouted us down. Can you imagine that? Ever? It was amazing. I view that as when we want to talk about moving things forward for what's best for the country, kind of like the way Charlie did. He was always wanting to engage in debate because he believed our ideas were right. We're fighting people who want to crush ideas as opposed to engage and be willing to admit that someone else just might have a better idea. And that's the problem. And I will just say this about a lot of people wait until they're called to do something before they stand up to defend something. But Charlie didn't. Charlie and Tyler and TPUSA and all of you who are here, what you guys have done is you've seen the need to do something, and you've engaged, and you've put some oomph behind it, and you've done it with honesty, integrity, clarity, purpose, and principle. That's what Charlie did. And that if we're going to go forward as a nation, we need to emulate what Charlie did.
Can I just I haven't really shared this story, but I'd like to really quick because it's not about me, okay? But every once in a while, and this is not a regular occurrence, but I have the opportunity to interact with President Trump. And that night of the shooting at like 11:30 p.m., the president called. And now normally when President Trump calls you, and again, doesn't happen very often, he'll say, "Hello, Jason, this is your favorite president, Donald Trump."
True. Yeah. True story.
When he wasn't president, he'd say,
Yeah. I have a
"Hello,
voice
Jason,
note.
this is your favorite former president, Donald Trump." And then he went back to, "Hey, Jason, this is your..." He didn't do that this time. He called and he said, "How you doing? I've seen you on TV, and this is hard, isn't it?" And we had about a 15-minute discussion. Now,
Wow.
This is about the most amazing president you could ever possibly imagine. And I haven't even told you this part, and near the end of the conversation, I said, "Mr. President, how are you doing? You knew Charlie?" He said, "Yeah, this one really hurts." He said, "I don't know that I would be the President of the United States without Charlie Kirk. That's true. I really don't know." And it was just an amazing moment. The guy, I don't know where his energy comes from. It's never ending. But we had that amazing moment, and I know that Charlie was such a good friend, so inspirational, and did more for people under the age of 30 than anybody I've ever seen in our lifetime, and I hope that continues. It's so exhilarating to see so many people here. Just grab hold of that mantle and keep going. Don't ever slow down.
Totally agree. I want to get into some of the tough questions. And this is kind of, I'll open this up, but, I'll start with over in that corner here, since we just went with Jason. How do you both view the violent pockets of politically and religiously charged violence like Antifa and the group that what we just saw happen in Michigan this week that have taken advantage of soft Christians, softer approaches with members of the church, and really the soft Utah approach that has enabled some people that are mentally ill. What's the viewpoint on that? I don't know who wants to take that first.
Go ahead.
So if you have constantly a group of people that you demonize and dehumanize, and you use the worst possible rhetoric, you are going to actually trigger some people to actually engage with dangerous and violent acts. And so that's what we've seen. I mean, and when you take a leader like Donald Trump, who is the leader, I would assume everybody in here would acknowledge he's a great president and he's a great leader. And let's think what he's done. Let's see, multiple impeachments, investigations. The FBI went after him before he was actually sworn in, and they came up with a Russian hoax, and the FBI did that with Clapper and Brennan. And when you see this kind of demonization that way, first of all, you kill trust in your government. And if you can't trust your government, all of a sudden, trust in your fellow man gets a little bit weaker. And the rhetoric continues to go strong. I get back to what I was saying about Congress. And some of the stuff you've heard from various members of Congress after Charlie's death have been to continue to perpetuate the very language that actually causes and inspires those who are not sane and who are evil to actually come after people. And you throw gas on the fire. And that's exactly the opposite of what Charlie was doing. So I would just say, for instance, if you have rhetoric that demonizes the LDS Church, which if you remember, you've encountered that.
We had some of that this week.
We saw
a lot of it this week.
So much of it. And it takes some...
And really this whole month. I mean, this has been a rough month for
That's right.
a lot of members of the church for between the death of President Nelson, we have the Michigan issue, and then obviously Charlie's assassination.
Yeah, all of this
here in Utah. It's crazy.
This attack on us, it's going to trigger somebody like who may not have been rational, who decided he hated Mormons, and we were somehow demonic. And there are people who think we are demonic. That kind of rhetoric has got to end. And it's largely, as Alex said, it's coming from one side. And we have got to make sure that that as we fight the fight, that we call that out and say, no more.
Yeah, and Governor, that's my follow-up question here.
So
you've said some things that there's been some inflammatory rhetoric on both sides, and that you've coined the "disagree better" slogan. Yeah. Is that really a both sides issue, or what's your opinion?
No, so I want to add to what Andy said here, because I think that's really important. One of the TPUSA staffers back there said this isn't just about left and right. It's about good and evil, right, up and down, and that piece really matters to me. And I think that's what we're talking about here. Look, there is a thread here. As Andy said, when you call people fascists and Nazis, well, we went and liberated Europe from fascists and Nazis. That is an evil. And when you try to convince people that people who aren't fascists and Nazis are
normal people, regular people
right.
participating in civic process.
That's exactly right. That we get accused of that. Here's two of the most dangerous trends that we've seen over the past few years. This idea that speech is violence is so wrong, and even worse than that,
it's illogical.
It's illogical. But it goes a step worse than that, because then they think, well, then violence is speech. And when you see everything through a lens of oppressor and oppressed, which again is so dangerous, because it allows you to justify things that you would never otherwise do. And you think that then because someone said something that you don't like, that's violence towards me, which then justifies me being violent towards this person for speaking. And that's exactly what happened in this case. And that is a destructive mind virus in our society today.
So do you think, I'll let Jason hop in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So do you believe it is a both sides issue?
Look. Okay.
No, the answer to that is no.
The answer, that mindset that I just told you is only coming from one side. That mindset is only coming from one side. That idea that speech is violence and violence is speech, that is not coming from the right. It is not coming from the right at all.
I've only seen it come from the left, I think, predominantly. That's what Andy said.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was trying to say, is this is not a both sidesism. I think there's a deeper problem here, and it's and I had to learn this myself, unfortunately, the hard way recently, and it's nihilism. I didn't even know what nihilism was. Right. Nihilism is this idea and this belief that you don't believe in anything. You don't believe in God. You don't believe in any sort of roots. You don't believe that there are morals. You don't believe that there is a good and bad. It's good and evil. You don't believe any of that. So if you look at it and kind of study it, and then you start to understand that for hundreds of years, this has been an issue. There are people that may have grown up in a conservative, idyllic household or neighborhood. Think of southern Utah. Think of Washington County. Is there a more, I mean, it's as beautiful as anything.
Think of Gilbert, Arizona.
Gilbert, Arizona.
There you go. That's it.
All right?
Yeah.
But it's...
You love Arizona.
But this nihilism takes root. And suddenly people don't believe that in anything. They don't have any roots in anything. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in these things.
And we've seen it here.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it here. I mean, we saw Drag Queen Story Hour in Provo.
Yeah. No.
I mean, we saw it not that long ago. We saw, again, I know we don't like BYU here, right? Yeah, I love it. Anytime we can get a boo for BYU, and I love it. So it's a great thing. You went to BYU. Did you go to BYU?
I was the place kicker at BYU on the
that's right.
football
I knew
team.
that.
So yeah.
That's not the point.
I'm not too worried about it.
I'm teasing.
We soundly beat Utah State at the time. It's okay. It's all right. Kicked a lot of extra points here.
But we saw, again, that image of the Y being painted trans colors, right? Like that. I mean, that was an image that was like pretty jarring for those that are from Utah to see that, like, all around you, you have some of that evil that's just seeping in throughout the state. And I guess that's kind of like brings me to like some of those questions is, is there a culture shift that's needing to occur, particularly after the events that have transpired over the last few weeks, that Utah needs to shift gears here a little bit? And how do we go about that?
So,
go ahead, Jason. Go
so,
because there's been a soft approach in the state of Utah that has opened the door to the nihilism that you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I think one of the lessons and things that is being taught by Charlie Kirk is that it's okay to talk about faith. It's okay to talk about religion. It's okay to talk about love of country. It used to be in politics not too long ago that the whole idea was, hey, you should really kind of separate the two. And now you've got this younger generation understanding, no, we don't have to separate the two. We can be sound, and we can give our message, and we can wear our faith proudly on our sleeves. And I think that is a healthy thing for a younger generation that is looking for roots, they're looking for cause, they're looking for affirmation. And Charlie Kirk, in many ways, gave a lot of us that have been involved in politics permission to go that extra step. I think it's only healthy for America.
So, can I? Yeah. Look, I want to. This is maybe the most important question that you've asked. Look, to the last question you asked, and I want to make sure I answer it correctly. There are violent people on the far right. It happens, and to say that that's not true would be a lie. Because it has happened, okay? Now, listen, this piece really matters. The prophet I believe in that just passed away, for the past couple years, has been talking about peacemaking and bridge building. And he very passionately believed that anger never persuades, and that hostility never convinces anyone. But here's the connection I want to make. That is not soft. Peacemaking is not soft. It's the hardest thing you can do. And that's what Charlie understood. And this matters because there is a rift in our party. Charlie wanted to go in and he wanted to engage. And people that he talked to, people who were very different than him, people that disagreed with him, you saw those videos just now. He treated them with respect, he treated them with love, and he treated them with dignity.
That's right.
And that is not soft, but there are people.
Want to grow your brand? Introducing anypromo.com, the easiest and most effective way to get more customers to your business. Add your logo to any of our 50,000 customizable products. AnyPromo helps you build brand awareness, show your employees appreciation, and make your next event memorable. Save 15% off your next order today.
When I say church, I mean the community as a whole, particularly in Utah. But what is the response on that? So, we talk about, we've got to be kind to people, but we also have to take some things very seriously and be tough.
Absolutely.
So how do you go about that? And just quick fire, what are some of the thoughts that you have that kind of go down the line with that?
Yeah, look, one of the things I want to be careful to do, the other thing my church teaches is that we all have agency, and everybody is responsible for their own decisions. And look, the person who committed this horrific crime, that person is responsible for their decision. Not the church, not Utah, not someone else. That person is responsible. And we absolutely have to take mental illness more seriously in this country. And we have to get people help for what they're dealing with. And you know how you do that, though? Charlie had the answer to that as well. It's like, get off your couch, get off social media, get married, have kids, do something with your life. We have to have more grit and responsibility. So much of the mental illness we're seeing is caused by that.
Andy?
I'll be very brief. Charlie said you got to come to Christ, honor our Judeo-Christian ethic. Now, that doesn't mean you aren't honest. You have to be honest and call balls and strikes the way they are. And when you call balls and strikes the way they are, you can do it with respect and dignity. But I will tell you this, if you don't call balls and strikes, if you aren't honest, if you aren't speaking with clarity, purpose, and principle, you are deceiving yourself, and you're deceiving the person that you're having the conversation with. You have to be straightforward, and you're going to find that there are points of agreement many times. But there are times where you're not going to have agreement, and you do not have to give up your principles for that. You just say, this is where we disagree.
Do you think, as a follow-up to that, do you think that there's a space in which this inclusionary type politics has gone too far, where it's made the mistake of giving up on your moral compass, or the things that need to be fixed, that need to be addressed, the balls and strikes that need to be called?
Yeah, because here's the way it works. If I say what I think about something, all of a sudden there is no logical rhetoric going on. It's an immediate, and this happened to me the other day. You're a racist. Mm-hmm. You're a Nazi. You are a fascist. I'm walking down the halls of Congress. The guy's yelling at me, "You're a Nazi." I said, "Good morning to you." What? The issue is the other side will not hear our voice. If you want to see proof of that, watch any oversight committee hearing that we have. And you will see that that's the case.
Here's my personal experience. Those that preach the most tolerance are the least tolerant among us.
That's right.
And you've got to find the right balance, but I worry that we're putting too much tolerance. You do not need a man with junk in a woman's bathroom. End of story.
It's really the simple things, isn't it? So,
I didn't know that I'd ever be saying that out loud, but it seems like common sense to me, but it escapes a lot of people.
I'm gonna ask you one last question here before we go to some students who will have some questions, and we'll continue the dialogue. So what do you think for young people is the greatest threat for engaging in the political process today? Is it the violence? Is it the lawfare? Is it the threat of being canceled because you didn't sign on for, again, the policies that are the worst? We'll start with you and go backwards, sir.
I think my immediate reaction is you got to find a balance in life, right? And I actually liked what the governor said. Get off your phone sometimes. Go out, feel that grass in between your toes. Go up in the mountains. Go visit us.
Get off social media.
Find the right balance. There's a place for technology. There's a place for social media. I'm on it, okay? But you got to find that balance. And if you don't find that right balance, then you get skewed and you start diving into all these rabbit holes and all these conspiracy theories that are just sometimes flat out nuts. So find that balance. That's my immediate reaction to it.
Cool. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, in my estimation, the biggest threat to young people who want to live a valued life, a life with value, is that we live in a culture that doesn't value those values. They want to punish you. And what it is if you've ever watched a bunch of crabs in an aquarium, they always move in a herd, and if one breaks off to do on its own, they go chop in our society today. So they'll try to cancel you. And if they can't cancel you, they'll try to humiliate you. And if they can't humiliate you, they will resort to physical attacks on you. That's what you face today. And Charlie's answer to that was, be courageous, live a life of value and meaning, get out, get married, have children, come to Christ, and do something meaningful with your life, because life is bigger than you.
So, one of the things that concerns me, one of the things that I've railed against on the left that I hear so much is the catastrophizing, that this is the worst it's ever been, that we're all going to die from climate, that whatever it is, that the world is doomed and we are all